What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. Check out the content. With that being said, man, I want to talk about this LeBron James era. I know some people call it the LeBron James era. The even some people may even call it the Steph Curry era, right? Because I think Steph Curry had the same amount of rings as LeBron James, right? So you could go either way, but for the sake of argument and for the sake of this discussion, I'm just going to say it's the LeBron James era. Because ever since like once Kobe retired, that his era was over with. But I just think that this era from 20, let's say about 20, Kobe retired in 2016. But let's just say from 2014 on, right? Because the last 2 years of Kobe career, he wasn't like really Kobe, like what we knew him. So for the last 10 or 11 years, man, like that LeBron James era to me, I think that probably had to be the weakest era of basketball that I've ever seen. And and I was thinking if I had to choose, like none of these players in the LeBron James era, if you look at them, none of those guys like even match up to Larry Bird. First off, let's take Kevin Durant, right? And Larry Bird. I think Kevin Durant do have two championships. But like when you look at Kevin Durant's career, he didn't really and I think part of it was because like it's this league now is just so soft, but he never really, I don't think, maxed out his career. I think once he started moving around and chasing rings, that kind of took away from, and I think that's what hurt most of these players, the franchise players in this era. It hurt from their development. I think had Kevin Durant stayed in OKC, in my opinion, for his entire career, that would have given him a better chance to have, a better career. It would have allowed him to develop more as a player had he stayed in there, because the challenges that you face when you reach, like when you're at one place, you got to constantly like level up every year, and you got to reach those challenges. And I think with the kind of talent that Kevin Durant had, he probably could have did that. I think if he had a stayed in OKC and had 3 rings, he probably could have had the same type of career that Larry Bird had. But even though Kevin Durant has been in the league longer than Larry Bird was, if I'm looking at both of these guys' career, I'm comparing Larry Bird to Kevin Durant, and I had an opportunity, and somebody said, "Well, whose career would you rather have? Would you prefer to have Larry Bird's career or Kevin Durant?" Anybody who really know anything about basketball and and people who want to win, you definitely got to go with Larry Bird. Um, and in my opinion, I think Larry Bird was a better player because not only could he shoot and score, but he was a better leader. Larry Bird was a much better leader than what Kevin Durant is, right? And so, like in this generation, I think Larry Bird would have dominated in this era, right? I mean, just like he did in his era, but in this era, he really would have killed, right? And so next, let's go with Larry Bird and LeBron James, right? Larry Bird, in my opinion, again, is a better ball player, better team leader, uh, and a better scorer than LeBron James, a better shooter than LeBron James. And again, I'm holding it against LeBron James too, that he just didn't stay in with one team and try to have like just have the team build around him in order for him to have the type of career that he could have had. I thought that once LeBron James, all right, once he left Cleveland, he went to Miami. Had he stayed in Miami and allowed Pat Riley to put the proper pieces around him, then he probably could have resurrected his career. then he could have really, in my opinion, put himself into maybe a legitimate GOAT conversation. But once you try to run around from team to team and you cherry pick, I think that really right there is just what hurt his career. He really couldn't, in my opinion, he didn't have the type of career that Larry Bird had. Larry Bird did win three rings in Boston. They didn't go every year, but every year they was in the thick of things. Every year, Larry Bird was Larry Bird. They built mostly through they developed their talent. They brought on what was Dennis Johnson. I'm trying to think. Did the Celtics draft Danny Ainge? But they had a lot of their talent, man, back in those days was drafted. They got a few traded pieces and stuff like that. But for the most part, man, they would take a franchise ball player like Larry Bird and just build around and put the proper pieces around him. And that's what, in my opinion, that's what LeBron James did not allow. He didn't allow that at Cleveland. He didn't allow that at Miami. Really at anywhere. And so that is the reason why, I think, again, if you look at LeBron James' career, LeBron James has been in the league 23 years. He has 4 rings. I think Larry Bird played for 13 years and got 3 rings. If somebody said, man, whose career would you prefer to have? And I want other people to answer this too, right? Whose career would you prefer to have had? Larry Bird career or LeBron James? I gotta go with Larry Bird, man, because LeBron James, you never really see, because these guys, like I said, they want to cherry pick and run from team to team, set themselves up in a position to win, take shortcuts. And when you take shortcuts, in my opinion, you don't maximize your ability, you don't maximize your talent, right? And by that I mean, just imagine if Muhammad Ali would have never fought Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier pushed him, and like they say, when they say iron sharpens iron, it's true. You need, just imagine if LeBron James had stayed in Cleveland. Uh Kevin Durant would have stayed in OKC. They would have been going at each other from their perspective. They would have had to get better every year to challenge each other. But to move from one team to another, you don't get shot, you don't get challenged. You move around so you can put yourself, you take an easier path to victory, basically. And that's what both of these guys did. They took an easier path to victory in order to win rings. And so again, I can't, like this era, I'm glad that these guys are phasing out. Although I gotta say that I think Kevin Durant, I like the team that Kevin Durant is on with these Houston Rockets, Shangoon. Um, man, what's that kid name? Amen Thomas. I like him. Van Vliet is out hurt right now. I like what they doing over there in Houston now, right? And if Kevin Durant get a ring with the Houston Rockets this year, man, I'm not gonna be mad. But again, if I had to choose a career, I take Larry Bird's career over LeBron James' career and Kevin Durant. So now let's talk about Steph Curry. Now, Steph Curry, he did stay with his team for the entire time, right? And he do have 4 rings, but I still, man, I still would take Larry Bird over Steph Curry, and the reason why is Larry Bird could play in this era, because this era is not physical at all. I think Larry Bird will dominate and he will kill in this era right here, man. If you just let Larry Bird shoot and you're not gonna get physical with him and all this other stuff, man, he just gonna kill. But Steph Curry, no way, in my opinion, Steph Curry could have played back like in the 80s and in the 90s, man, because it just was too physical. It was just entirely too physical of a league, man. And Steph Curry would not have had the same impact. If you look at people the guys who could really shoot back in the 80s and the 90s, they, they were basically role players, because and the reason why they were role players is because they were specialists. Like Steph in the 80s and in the 80s and the 90s, he would have been a specialist, like a sharpshooter, like he is now, right? But he wouldn't have had the same impact because the league would have been so much more. It was so much more physical, and you could hand check Steph Curry. You could foul him, and it just would be. It just was too. You had power forward, so if you beat your guard, then now you running into guys like Kevin Willis and Karl Malone. No, it just would not have worked, man. So that's why I say if you look at that era, once Kobe Bryant left the NBA, the LeBron James era to me is it's a throwaway era if you think about it. And what's even more evident about it is because you don't have, like, ratings are down, attendance is down, because people don't have that emotional connection to these players, because they don't really move you, because ain't they're not being challenged. You're not seeing, you just seeing jumpers, and you're seeing a whole bunch of three pointers and a whole bunch of dunks. There's no challenge, man. No real rivalries. Like, people don't. The Celtics, they dislike the Lakers, and the Lakers, the Celtics ain't get along with the Sixers. Man, it was real, man. It just was real passion there. Them dudes was wanted to win so bad, man. It was real then. So that era though, from like 2014 to now. Now the new guys, the young guys that's coming in, seem like I see a change on the horizon, right? But that from 2014, that LeBron James era, those guys right there, man, they just, it was just, it was boring. Their era of basketball just was boring. So that's my take on it. Let me know though. Who would you would you choose Larry Bird over anybody in the LeBron James era? And it don't only have to be these three. Like, name somebody who played from 2014 to now. It could be Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, any of those players who played in that era. Would you take Larry Bird over those guys, man? I can't say none of those guys who played from 2014 and up to now that is better than Larry Bird. That's my opinion, right? And so, with that being said, man, y'all make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.